Jake had always believed in a simple rule about life: stay honest, work hard, and slowly things would get better. One evening, he sat quietly in his small room. A dim yellow light stretched across the worn-out wall. "Just keep going. Everything will be okay," he whispered. That thought stayed with him, day after day, quiet, steady, like something he could hold on to. He never questioned it, but there was something he couldn't see. It wasn't his actions. It was the silent thoughts growing deep inside him. Sometimes, just a single thought, small, fleeting, could pull an entire life in a completely different direction. It's just a thought. Jake used to believe that. There was a question he had never asked himself until one day it appeared on its own. What if one decision could change everything? He walked along the same familiar road, but something felt different that day. Nothing around him had changed. The same houses, the same dust, the same silence. Only his thoughts had begun to shift. What if I make the wrong choice? Jake slowed down. His eyes drifted into the distance. The road ahead was still long, just like every other day. But now, it felt uncertain. Some doors only open once. Some opportunities never come back. Jake had no answer, but the question stayed. Jake lived in a small town where time seemed to stand still. Dusty roads, old houses, endless afternoons that drained the spirit. Nothing ever really happened here except repetition. One morning, he stood at his door, looking out at the same road. Another day, he murmured, his voice low. No one was waiting for him ahead. Nothing new was waiting for him either. Just the same footsteps, the same places, the same fragile hope. Sometimes he wondered, will anything ever change? But still, he kept walking. Every morning, Jake left his house before sunrise. He walked through familiar streets, knocking on doors with quiet hope. "Do you have any work for me?" he would ask. Sometimes he earned a few coins. Most days, nothing. At night, he returned home, cooking a simple meal for himself. No conversation, no one waiting. He sat in silence for a moment, then whispered, "Tomorrow might be different." Even when exhausted, Jake never chose dishonesty. He believed that if he kept going, if he stayed true, things would eventually change. And so, he continued. One day, after searching everywhere and finding nothing, Jake walked home with heavy steps. The sun was setting, dragging his spirit down with it. "Maybe today is just another day like the rest," he said softly. The familiar road felt longer than usual. Then suddenly, "Is anyone there? Please, help me." Jake stopped. He turned around. An old man stood there beside several large heavy bags. Jake hesitated for a moment, then stepped closer. "How can I help you?" The old man looked at him, his eyes filled with both hope and caution. He pointed to one of the bags. "I need to carry this to the next village," he said slowly. "If you help me, I'll give you 3 gold coins." Jake froze for a second. 3 gold coins was not a small amount. He looked at the bag, then back at the old man. "All right, I'll help you." But the moment he lifted it, "It's really heavy," Jake muttered. The old man nodded slightly. "It's filled with coins." Jake didn't ask anything else. He tightened his grip, lifted the bag onto his shoulder, and began to walk. Slow steps, but steady. They walked together in silence. Jake could feel the old man's eyes on him the entire time. He glanced back. "Are you afraid I'll run away?" he asked, slightly irritated. The old man didn't answer. He simply kept walking, his gaze still cautious. Jake tightened his grip on the bag. "I'm not that kind of person," he told himself. He took a deep breath. "I'm just working, and I'll get what I deserve." Even under doubt, Jake kept going, not because of the money, but because he believed in who he was. When they reached the river, the current rushed beneath the fading light. Jake stepped in first, holding the bag firmly. But the old man stopped. "I can't cross," he said. "I'm too old." Jake turned back. "What do you want me to do?" The old man looked at the second bag. "If you carry this one too, I'll give you 3 more gold coins." Jake was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. But as he reached for it, the old man held back. "Promise me, you won't run away." Jake looked straight at him. "I told you, I am not that person." He took the bag and kept moving. At the foot of the hill, Jake set the 2 bags down and took a deep breath. "We're almost there. Can you walk up?" he asked. The old man shook his head. "I don't have the strength. The last bag is too heavy." Jake looked at it, then said, without hesitation, "I'll carry it." But the old man didn't release it yet. "There's gold inside," he said quietly. "If you take it and leave, I won't be able to stop you." Jake frowned. "I've helped you this far, and you still don't trust me." He paused, then reached out his hand. "I told you, I'm not a thief," Jake said, his voice tightening. The old man remained silent. Jake exhaled slowly. "I used to work for a loan company," he said. "They asked me to lie, so I quit." He clenched his fist. "I'd rather lose everything than lose myself." The old man finally nodded. He handed over the last bag. "I'll walk slowly. You go ahead." Jake turned, and this time he walked alone. The road up the hill felt strangely quiet. No footsteps behind him anymore. Just Jake and 3 heavy bags on his shoulders. He slowed down. Then a thought appeared, soft but sharp enough to stop him. "What if I just walk away?" Jake froze. His heart began to race. He looked around. No one. No one could stop him now. "If I take all this money," he whispered, "I'll never have to live like this again." His steps grew slower. The thought didn't disappear. It stayed and grew. For the first time, Jake hesitated. "If I keep it, everything will change." He breathed heavier. No more searching for work. No more simple meals. Images filled his mind. A large house, fine clothes, a life he had never known. "Maybe I deserve this," he murmured. His eyes changed. Everything suddenly felt easy. Just one decision. Just turn and don't look back. The thought was no longer small. It had become a choice. Jake suddenly walked faster, then faster, until he was running. His footsteps echoed through the empty road. "Just get home, and it's done," he muttered. The weight on his shoulders no longer mattered. He burst into his house and slammed the door shut. He dropped the bags, hands trembling. Gold, silver. He opened the first bag, then the second, then the third. Jake froze. Nothing. Just gold stones. He searched again, his hands shaking. Then a small folded note. He opened it. "I am the king of this land." Jake's breath stopped. "I have no heir, and I have been searching for someone truly honest." His grip tightened. "If you had not walked away, you would have become my son, and the one to inherit everything." Jake said nothing. "No, this can't be," he whispered. The room fell into suffocating silence. Everything became clear. He had lost the greatest opportunity of his life. In a single moment, Jake sat in the darkness, the note still in his hand. He had lived honestly his entire life, but lost everything in one single moment. Not because he was evil, but because he couldn't control his thoughts. One small thought was enough to take him somewhere he could never return from. "If I had stopped, just for a second," he whispered, his voice breaking. But it was too late. Life doesn't change from big decisions. It begins with the small thoughts we allow to stay. Greed doesn't arrive loudly. It comes quietly, but it is enough to destroy everything. So learn to control your thoughts, because sometimes the smallest thing decides everything.